Good morning, students. Today we are going to discuss the topic lesson planning. Now, these are the learning objectives of today's topic. To understand the concept of lesson plan means you will able to understand that this is the meaning of lesson plan. To be familiar with the importance of lesson plan, why lesson plan is important. To make out the needs and importance of lesson plan, and you will make out the need. What is the need and importance of lesson plan? To be acquainted with the characteristics of lesson plan, that you will able to understand that these are the characteristics of a lesson plan. Stages of lesson plan means you will able to know that these are the stages for preparing a lesson plan. Steps for the preparation of a lesson plan, and these are the steps which are necessary for the preparation of a lesson plan. Now, introduction. A lesson plan is a systematic preparation done in a scientific manner. Means when we are preparing a lesson plan, the preparation of a lesson plan should be done in a scientific manner. Effective and successful teaching mainly depends on perfect lesson plan. Means if a lesson plan has been made perfectly, then we will say that today's teaching is effective and successful. Successful on the basis that you will be able to achieve your objectives. A lesson plan represents a single teaching unit meant for a class period. Means that lesson plan is designed or framed for a particular class period. Generally, a lesson plan is teacher mental, emotional visualization of classroom activities. Now, what is that? A lesson plan is what? What a teacher thinks in a mental phase and a emotional visualization of classroom activities that will occur in the future. Now, different definitions related to lesson plan. Lesson plan is the title given to a statement of the achievement to be realized and the specific means by which these are to be attained as a result of the activities engaged in during the period. Now, what is that? That the definition is given by the bossing, and that says that lesson plan is the title. It's any title given to a statement of the achievement that we want to achieve. To be realized that these achievements we want to realize and the specific means, and we have to show that these are the specified means with the help of which we want to achieve our objectives, which are by which these are to be attained as a result of the activities engaged in during the period, and these are the activities in which we will be engaged to achieve those objectives. Now, the second definition is given by winning and winning, and what it say lesson plan involves defining the objectives means when we are framing a lesson plan, it's involved that we have defined the objective that these are the particular specific objectives of today's class, selecting and arranging the subject matter, and we have to select that this will be the subject matter and arranging the subject matter and determining the method and procedure, and in this these are the methods and procedure that will be used for the delivery of the lesson plan. Stands a lesson plan is a plan of action, means we will do in the teaching learning process as per the plan which we have made. Now, why is lesson plan important? The key to good teaching means when we are saying that we want that our teaching should be good, purposeful means it should have some purpose, class management and the achievement of sustainable education progress lies in effective preparation and planning. Now, what this means that everything which we want to achieve through the lesson plan or through the teaching learning process, for that which is necessary thing, the necessary thing is that we should make a plan in a very effective manner. Consistent effective lesson planning is essential for successful experiences in both teaching and learning process. Now, consistent effective lesson planning means continuous lesson planning is important if we want that for the successful experiences, the experiences which the learner will have in both the teaching and the learning process. Now, needs of a lesson plan. What are the basic needs for preparing a lesson plan. Now, the lesson plan does not allow the teacher to divert and it's keep him on the way. The lesson plan does not allow the teacher to divert means the teacher has made each and everything to be planned that I will do in this way. And when the teacher has a full proof plan, then that plan will not divert the teacher from the pace from which he or she is going and it's keep him on the way means to achieve the objective. In the process of teaching, lesson plan is needed due to the following reasons. Now, what is that? That for the teaching, when we are saying that we have to teach, so lesson plan is needed because of these following reasons. And now, what are these following reasons? Through lesson plan, the teacher regularly achieves the teaching objective. Means with the help of the daily lesson plans or the lesson plan helps the teacher to achieve his objective and process in the form of complex objectives and purposes. Now, second one is a lesson plan develops the possibility of adjustment in the classroom situations which make the teaching effective. Now, a lesson plan which has been developed by the teacher develop the possibilities of adjustment in the classroom situations which makes the teaching effective. Third one, a lesson plan help in calling every step of curriculum unit. The fourth one, a lesson plan helps in planning the process of teaching on the basis of class control, motivation, and individual differences. When a lesson plan has been made, it will help the teacher to control the classes, how to motivate the students, and how to maintain or to individual differences of the learners so that every individual will be benefited from the teaching learning process. Now, importance of a lesson plan. Planning is essential for every aspect of human activities. Now, what they are saying that any activity which will be conducted by any human being, what is necessary? Planning is necessary for conducting any type of activity. But for a plan teaching, more planning is required. But for a plan teaching means we are saying that we are going in the classroom with a plan means more planning is required. We need to go or we need to make a foolproof plan before going to the classroom teaching. Now, the first one is suitable environment. In a lesson plan, objectives are fixed, means these are the objectives which we want to achieve are fixed. And the teaching strategies, that these will be the teaching strategies or these will be the methods which I will use during my teaching learning process. Techniques and material aids, etc. Now, what is the material aid? The teaching aid that will be used by the teacher during the teaching learning process are decided beforehand. Beforehand means before the class will start, means during the planning process. When a proper teaching environment is created, the teaching tasks go in a much planned way. Means we have to create a teaching environment, and that teaching environment will be created when we have made a effective plan based on previous knowledge. Means your lesson plan should be based on the previous learners knowledge of the learners. In preparing lesson plans, the teacher presents new knowledge as its basis of previous knowledge of the pupil. Now, the teacher have to introduce the new knowledge to the students, and that new knowledge which the teacher is giving to the students, the basis of that knowledge should be the previous knowledge of the pupil. This enables the pupil to gain the knowledge very conveniently on one side. The teacher succeed in acquiring his objectives on the other side. Now, when the teacher will make a lesson plan in an effective manner and the teacher will present the new knowledge on the basis of the previous knowledge of the students, then what will happen? That the people or the students gain the new knowledge very comfortably on one side and the teacher succeed in acquiring the objectives for the particular class very conveniently and in a comfortable manner on the other side. Now, psychological teaching. The teacher uses proper teaching strategies, techniques, and instruments, keeping in mind the interests, aptitude, needs, capacities, and abilities of the pupil for teaching them when the lesson plans are prepared. Now, what is that? Means when the teacher is preparing a lesson plan to teach the students, he must keep in mind what is the interest area of the student, their aptitude, their needs, capacities, and abilities. When the teacher is keeping in mind all these things, then we will say that this makes the teaching more psychological. Limitations of subject matter. In a lesson plan, the subject matters become limited. This enables the teacher to give up irrelevant things. When everything has been planned, then what will happen? This planning will help the teacher to give up the irrelevant things that are there. He only remembers definite and limited matter. Now, when the planning has been done, that means the teacher will remembers only the definite and limited subject matter, and its presentation before the pupil become easy, and it's become easy for the teacher to present the matter before the students when he will have the full plan. The people also receive the knowledge in a systematic and an organized way. Now, when we are saying the teacher has made a daily lesson plan, the teacher has made a plan, then the students will receive the knowledge in a systematic and an organized way. Now, the fifth one is determination of activities. Means when the teacher has been making a plan, then he will pre-decide these will be the activities during the teaching learning process. In a lesson plan, during the lesson plan, the teacher and pupil activities are pre-decided. Means the teacher plan each and every activity of the teachers as well as the pupil. Activities are pre-decided according to the class level, and which activity should be used by the teacher, which activity should be implemented in the lesson planning. It all should depends on the class level. This makes the teaching activities meaningful and purpose. And when the teacher is making the planning of the lesson plan according to the class level, then what will happen? That teaching activities become meaningful and purposeful to the teachers as well as to the students. Now, the sixth one, preparation of material aids means aids helping materials that will be helped by the teacher will take the help during the delivering of the lesson plan. At the time of preparing a lesson plan, means when the teacher is preparing a lesson plan, the teacher decide what facts are to be clarified. Means the teacher decide that these are the important points that I have to clear to my students. By what strategies? Means what teaching method or what teaching strategies will I use? Techniques and instruments. And what aid is to be used at what time? And what teaching aids will be used by me as a teacher during the delivery of the lecture? Thus prepare the necessary and effective aids before starting the teaching task. And when the teacher has decided that I will use these aids at the time of delivering the lesson plan, then this prepare the necessary and effective aids. Now that planning will help the teacher to prepare necessary and effective aids before starting the teaching class in the classroom activities. Now, developing of teaching skills. This lesson, the lesson plan acts as an important means for developing teaching skills in the pupil teacher. Means the teaching skills will be developed in the pupil teacher when the lesson plan will be prepared by the teacher. Use of theoretical knowledge. Whatever the pupil teacher get theoretical knowledge during their training period, that's knowledge. Now, ninth one is teaching with confidence. Means the preparation of the lesson plan makes the teacher confident during his teaching learning process. The preparation of a lesson plan makes the subject and other allied subjects more clearly to the teachers. Means the teacher will have the full knowledge about the subjects and the allied subjects. This arouses self-confidence among them, and this will increase the self-confidence of the teacher. When a teacher gets developed the feeling of self-confidence, and when a teacher gets a feeling of self-confidence, then he presents the new knowledge to the people with more enthusiasm and pleasure. Means planning makes the teacher confident and makes his teaching learning effective. Now the 10th one, discipline in class. By preparing lesson plan, the teacher becomes aware of what, when, and how much is to be done in the class. Means the lesson plan helps the teacher to be aware of what, when, and how much is to be done in the class. This absorbs all the people in their respective tasks, and this makes all the people to be busy in their tasks. Hence, it results in appreciable classroom discipline. When everything has been planned, then what will happen? The class will be in proper discipline. Time sense. Lesson plan is prepared allotted to the duration of the periods. Now, what will happen? I had when I have to make a plan, I will have the knowledge that I have to cover this unit in that particular time, and that is the allotted time given to me for the completion of the lesson plan or the unit. So I will plan my lesson plan according to that allotted time. Teaching from memory level to reflective level. In an idle lesson plan development and thought provoking questions should be asked. Thought provoking questions that will increase or engage students in the thought process, in the thinking process. Also, there should be an effort to stretch the teaching from memory level to reflective level. Now, characteristics of a lesson plan. What are the different characteristics of a lesson plan? The first one is objective based. The lesson plan must be based on one or the other objective, means it should have some objective. While writing the objectives should be written in a written form and defined clearly, and these should be defined in a proper manner because its main objective is to achieve some goal. Decision about appropriate material aids. The material aid is an important means of the teacher, means the aids which are used by the teacher. Hence, correct decision regarding the chart, graph, pictures, diagrams, and map should be taken while preparing ideal lesson plan. Means the teacher should take a decision that which aid will be benefited for the students during the teaching learning process, and these should be marked at a proper place, and that teaching aid should be used by the teacher at a proper place when a teacher is to use them while teaching. Based previous knowledge. An ideal lesson plan should be based on the previous knowledge of the people. Means the teacher should consider the previous knowledge of the students while he or she is planning a lesson plan. This will avoid difficulty in acquiring new knowledge by the pupils. Now, when the teacher is preparing a lesson plan, keeping in view the previous knowledge of the students, then what will happen? The students will not uh, uh, have difficulty in acquiring the new knowledge. Division of lesson plan in units. Lessons are of three types: knowledge based, skill lesson, or the appreciation lesson. In an ideal lesson plan, all the relevant steps of these three types of lesson plan should be determined. That this is the knowledge which I want to give to my students, these are the skills which I want to develop in my students, and that is the appreciation part. Each lesson should be divided into suitable units so that the people may understand this lesson gradually. Now, simplicity of activities. In an ideal lesson plan, simplicity of the lesson plan and clarity of thoughts should be according to the mental level of the people. Now, what is that? Everything should be according to the intellectual mental level of the students. Determination of activities. In an ideal lesson plan, the activities of teacher and the pupil should be determined beforehand. Means every activity which the teacher is to be used during the teaching learning process are to be pre-decided. Homework. There should be a provision of homework in an ideal lesson plan. Means a teacher should give homework to the students when he is preparing or working an ideal lesson plan. This will enable the pupil to learn the appreciation of the acquired knowledge. Now, why homework, home assignments are necessary? Because this enables the pupil, the students, to learn the appreciation of the acquired knowledge, what they have acquired. Now, next one is self-evaluation. A good lesson plan must have a suitable plan for self-criticism. Self-evaluation, where a person can evaluate his or own performances. A good lesson plan must have a suitable plan for self-criticism. The teacher should put some questions to him and find out the answers and thereby judge the effectiveness of lesson writing. Now, how the self evaluation will be done? The teacher will ask some questions to the students and whether they will be able to give the answers to that question. On the basis of that, we will able to self evaluate the performances of the learner. Use of illustration. Examples should be used which have relevance with the daily life of the people. When the teacher is using or the teacher is making to understand the students the new concept with the help of the examples. The examples which should be used by the teacher should have some relevancy with the daily lives of the people. Now, use of Blackboard. The Blackboard summary of each and every unit should be written on the Blackboard. Means an ideal lesson plan will be when when there is a provision of Blackboard work also. And when the teacher has to use a Blackboard, the teacher has to write main points on the Blackboard. Now, stages in lesson plan. Preparation. Who is to be taught? Means by knowing the learner. The desired outcome can be determined and the teacher can identify the purpose of the lesson. By knowing the learner, to whom I am going to teach. The desired outcomes, what are the desired outcomes I want from my the learner, can be determined and the teacher can identify the purpose of the lesson. What is to be taught? What is to be taught means what should be the subject area. This stage covers the substance of the lesson, such as subject matter, instructional goals, that these are the instructional goals, specific learning objectives, that these are the specific learning objectives of today's topic, concept and skills. An effective activity or lesson plan begins with a specific objective. An effective activity or lesson plan means begins with a specific objective, means it should have some purpose. Now, Bloom taxonomy provides good examples of appropriate action words to use in learning objectives. Means Bloom taxonomy has provided some action words that has to be used in preparing or informing the learning objectives. With this, the learning objectives become student focused and outcome oriented. When we are using these action words, then that learning objectives become student focused, means it should be according to the needs of the student and outcome oriented. Now, Bloom taxonomy, the first one is the knowledge. Verbs define, describe, identify, label, list, match, name, outline, recall, recognize, reproduce, select, state. These are the action words for the learning objective of knowledge. For comprehension, verbs are comprehend, condense, describe, discuss, distinguish, interrupt, locate, grasp the meaning of material, whether students are able to understand that concept or not. Now the application. Verbs can be applied, the students can apply that knowledge, carry out, construct, demonstrate, operate, reduce, and use. Use learning in new and concrete situations, whether students are able to use that knowledge in a new and a concrete situations or not. Now, the next one is analysis. The verbs include analyze. The student can make an analysis, compare, they can make a comparison between them, contrast, and a differentiation can be made. Understand both the content and structure of material. The next one is synthesis. The verbs are compile, create, develop, journalize, integrate, purpose. Formulate new structure from existing knowledge and skills. The last one is evaluation. The verbs are appraise, assess, criticize, define, evaluate, justify, and support. Judge the value of material, how much you have learned a particular concept. Now, implementation. How do you teach students? What will be the way to teach the students? Methods or strategies applied. What are the different methods or strategies that will be applied by you during the teaching learning process? Learning activities and methodology approaches. What will be the learning activities and what will be the methods that will be applied by you? Material and technological application. Now, reflection. Will is my lesson plan effective? I have to think whether my planning has been effective or not. The teacher evaluates the strength and weaknesses of the lesson plan. Means the teacher can evaluate his or her lesson plan on the basis of the strength and weaknesses of the lesson plan before implementing it, before going to teach, and after it has been delivered. And the evaluation can be done before implementing it and after it has been delivered. If that planning is not made in a proper order, then I will not able to achieve my outcomes or the objectives which I have prepared or formulated. Now, conclusion. Lesson plan is integral in the teaching learning process. Means lesson planning is an integral part of the teaching learning process. It encourages research. Means the research will be encouraged by the teaching learning process or the lesson plan. Teachers have to foresight to think deeply about the lesson plan, maximize learning objectives. How the teaching lesson plan should be made in such a way that it maximizes learning opportunity. Lesson plans does not don't always have to be detailed. It should not be in the detailed form. Planning can be an internal process. Now, different lesson planning. Harbesian five steps approach in the procedure of Harbesian school of propagated by J. F. Hubbard in 1776 1841 and his followers. The formal steps involved in this approach as below. Introduction, oblique motivation. Second is presentation. Third is comparison and association. Fourth is generalization. Fifth is application. And the sixth one is recapitulation. Now we will discuss each and every point in detail. Now the first one is introduction and motivation. This step is concerned with the task of preparing the student for receiving the new knowledge. Means we are motivating the students or we are preparing the student for receiving the new knowledge. In preparation, nothing new is taught to students. Means in the stage of preparation, we do not teach anything new to the student. Relevant to the topic in hand, the teacher should make himself sure of what the people already know. Means we want to know what are their previous knowledge. by putting a few questions, and that can be judged by asking some questions based on the pupil previous knowledge, and these questions should be based on the previous knowledge of the student. In general, with the help of this step, means the introduction and the motivation, the teacher can check the student's entering behavior. Now, what will be the entering behavior? What is the previous knowledge of the student regarding that particular subject before he start teaching the lesson? Thus, testing previous knowledge, developing interest in the minds of students, and maintaining curiosity of the students can be achieved with the help of this step. Means with the help of motivation and introduction, we will able to develop the interest of the students regarding the topic which we are going to teach. The following activities involved in this step: the assumption about the previous knowledge of the student in relevance to the lesson. What is the previous knowledge of the student? The testing of the previous knowledge, how much they know. Utilizing the previous knowledge for introducing the lesson, means we will use the previous knowledge of the students for introducing the lesson plan or the new knowledge. Motivating the students for studying the present lesson. The next one is presentation. It is the key step and only through which the actual process of teaching is going to take place. Now, in the presentation, we will introduce the new knowledge to the learners. Here, the aim of the lesson should be stated clearly that these are the aims which we want to achieve, and the heading should be written on the blackboard. We have to provide situations for both the teacher and the students to participate in the process of teaching and learning. And we should prepare our lesson planning in such a way that it should provide situations in which both teacher and students are involved in the process of teaching and learning. Our ultimate aim of the presentation is to make the concept understandable to the student. Now, what is the aim? So that the student will understand the concept. Therefore, simple language is used. Therefore, the teacher should use the simple language while during implementing the lesson plan. Appropriate and specific examples and illustrations of the concepts will make the understanding better. Means the teacher should use specific examples relating to the topic. The interest of the students on the subject matter should be maintained continuously by the way of asking questions from time to time. And to maintain the students' interest in that particular subject, the teacher should ask questions from time to time. In this stage, the teacher should carefully and skillfully arrange his material so that his pupil may clearly and readily grasp it. The teacher should make proper use of questions, charts, graphs, pictures, models, and other illustrative for demonstration and explanation. The teacher should use questions and different teaching aids or the materials aids for demonstration and explanation. At the end of each section, a few questions concerning that subsection should be asked to whether the pupil are now ready for the acquisition of new knowledge or not. Now, comparison of association. Most important should be given in this stage to compare the facts. Means the student will able to make a comparison between two things: the facts observed by the students with other concept by way of giving examples. By making use of this comparison, the student can derive definitions or theories. Means if the teacher will make a use of comparison of association in the class during the teaching learning process, then it will encourage the students and the students will able to derive definitions or theory. The students are encouraged to give new suitable examples for the concept instead of the examples given in the book to make them think in an innovative manner. Now, if the teacher is using the comparison of association, it will encourage the students to give new suitable examples which are not mentioned in the book or the textbook. Now, journalization. This step is concerned with arriving at some journal ideas or drawing out the necessary conclusion by the students on the basis of different comparison. That student can come or arrive at some general idea on the basis of comparison between two things. Contracts and associated observed in the learning material presented by the teacher. As far as possible, the task of formulation should be left to students. The teacher at this stage should try to remain in the background for providing only necessary guidance and correction. Now, application. In this stage, the teacher makes the student to use the understood knowledge in an unfamiliar situation. Means the teacher is encouraging the student to apply the new knowledges to the different situation. Unless the knowledge of science is applied in new situation on in our day-to-day life, the study of science will become meaningless. Only this knowledge will be called as a meaningful when the students will able to apply that knowledge in new situations or in day-to-day life. This application of scientific principles will strengthen learning, will increase their learning, and will make the learning permanent. And that type of learning is called as a permanent learning. Recapitulation. This stage is meant for the teachers to know whether students have grasped by review a lesson or by giving assignment to the student. Now the teacher wants to know whether the student has able to gain the knowledge related to that particular topic or not. And the teacher can review this by giving some assignments to the student or by giving some questions to the student. Only through this step achieving closure in teaching is possible. Now, today we have discussed the topic, the lesson plan, the importance of lesson plan, the characteristics of the lesson plan. For further reading on this topic, you can refer these references. Now let us discuss some MCQs related to the topic which we have learned today. The first one is A dash. Plan is systematic preparation done in a scientific manner. Options are A. Lesson, B. Unit, C. Local, or the D. Topic. So the correct answer is a lesson plan is a systematic preparation done in a scientific manner. Now, effective and successful teaching mainly depends on perfect dash planning. Means we will call it is a successful and effective teaching only when we make a plan. What type of a plan? Whether it is a lesson plan, whether it is a unit plan, a blueprint planning, or an evaluation planning. Now, you have to select the correct answer, and the correct answer is a lesson plan. So, effective and successful teaching mainly depends on a perfect lesson planning. Now, the third one, a lesson plan represents a single teaching unit meant for a dash period. Now, the examples are A. Class, B. Unit, C. Group, or the D. Individual. So, the correct answer is a class. So, single teaching unit meant for a class period. Fourth one, dash is a stage meant for the teachers to know whether students have grasped by reviewing a lesson or by giving assignments to the student. Now, what do you call that stage? Now, the options are A. Recapitulation, B. Preparation, C. Teaching methods, or the D. Previous knowledge. And the correct answer is recapitulation. Now the fifth one. In dash stage, the teacher makes the student to use the understood knowledge in an unfamiliar situation. What do you we call that particular stage? Options are A. Application, B. Recapitulation, C. Preparing, or the D. Teaching method. Now the correct answer is application. So application is a stage where the teacher makes the students to use the understood concept in the unfamiliar situations. Now the sixth one. Dash is concerned with arriving at some general idea by the students on the basis of different comparisons observed in the learning material present by the teacher. Now, the options are A. Journalization, B. Application, C. Recapitulation, or the D. Preparation. Now, students, you have to give the correct answer related to that, and the correct answer is journalization. That is option A. Means with the help of generalization, the students arrive at some general ideas on the basis of different comparisons observed in the learning material present by the teacher during their teaching learning process. Now the seventh one. In dash, more importance should be given in the stage to compare the facts. Now, in this stage to compare the facts which are presented by the teacher in the lesson plan. Observed by the student, there will be a observation by the students with another concept by way of giving examples. Now, the options are A. Comparison of association, whether this is comparison of association, B. Application, C. Recapitulation, or the D. Preparation. Now, the students, you have to give the correct answer of that MCQ, and the correct answer is option A, that is comparison of association. Now, the eighth one. Dash is the key step and only through which the actual process of teaching is going to take place. Now, what is the key step in the stages or the preparations of the lesson plan, and only through which and only through that stage the actual process of teaching is going to take place, and with this stage we will able to say that now the actual process of teaching is starting. Now the options are A. Presentation, B. Application, C. Recapitulation, or the D. Preparation. Now, what is the key step in the teaching learning process of a lesson plan or at the making of a lesson plan? Now, the correct answer is presentation. So, we can say presentation is the key step and only through which the actual process of teaching is going to take place in the classrooms. Now, the ninth one. Introduction step is concerned with the task of preparing the student for receiving new dash. Now, the introduction step related to the lesson plan, what its main task or main objective, with the task of preparing the student for receiving what, and this introduction step is preparing the students for receiving what. Options are A. Knowledge, B. Teaching, C. Learning, or the D. It's applying. Now the correct answer is option A, that is knowledge. Means introduction step or the motivational step is concerned with the task of preparing the student for receiving new knowledge. Now the 10th one. In dash, the teacher uses proper teaching strategies. Now the teacher is using proper teaching strategies, keeping in mind the abilities of the people, and he keep in mind what are the different abilities or capabilities of the people for teaching them when the lesson plan are prepared. Now the options are A, whether we will call it as a psychological teaching, B. Philosophical teaching, C. Learning principles, or the D. Teaching principles. Now the correct answer is a psychological teaching. Now why we are calling it as a psychological teaching? Because when the teacher is teaching the students or preparing his or her lesson plan according to the psychological principles, then the teacher is keeping in mind the abilities, interests, needs of the people, and he tried to deliver his lesson plan keeping in mind all these things related to the people, means the interest of the people, the abilities of the people, the capabilities, the interests, the habits of the learner, means the whole lesson plan is prepared accordingly. Now, thank you, students. With this narration, you understood the concept of lesson plan, the need of lesson plan, the characteristics of a lesson plan, and importance of a lesson plan in teaching. Then after that, we have discussed about the different stages of the lesson plan. And after that, we have discussed the lesson plan which is made by the approach of Harvesian. Means what are the approaches which has been used by the Harbarian, and what are the different steps which he has suggested when a teacher is trying to make a lesson plan on the basis of the Harvesian approach. Now, thank you, students. Thank you for your patience listening.